We are on the air with you at 5:30. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Howell.
Thank you for being with us. I'm Sam Wright. Summit Carbon Solutions, working to forge a new pathway in South Dakota and counties and landowners.
IT reporter Beth Warden hears from the pipeline representative and those landowners about these future plans, and she's got that story for us here at 5:30.
After the South Dakota Public Utilities Commission denied Summit Carbon Solutions' CO2 pipeline permit in September, the company is taking a new approach.
You might call it a new leaf. It's we are committed to working with counties across the state of South Dakota to find a path through. We heard the PUC loud and clear.
Spokesperson Sabrina Zener describes a new grant offer to emergency management of every affected county.
We are starting with a $50,000 base grant and then offering $1,000 in addition for every mile that we are touching in that county.
Brown County landowner Craig Schoeneman maintains his skepticism.
It looks like they're trying to buy their way into the counties rather than work their way into the counties.
And landowner Mark Lamke points to Summit Carbon Solutions activities outside the state.
In North Dakota, they are still asking the State Public Service Commission up there to preempt the county ordinances that have been put in place up there. They haven't changed strategies everywhere.
Zener says the pipeline company will resubmit their application when they have a new route established in the state.
We had acquired almost 75% of voluntary easements across the county.
I asked if the percentage was per person or per parcel.
It's mileage, it's landowners, and it's number of parcels. So there are a couple different ways to count that. Generally speaking, that 73 to 75% is across, it's an equalizer. It's all those numbers are right around that same percentage, maybe give or take 1 or 2%.
While Summit Carbon Solutions takes a new, softer approach, Schoeneman reviews the attorney fees for defending his land against the pipeline company for eminent domain condemnation filings. Summit dismissed them after their application was denied.
We are going to try to recoup those costs, whether we can or not will be up for the court's decision.
And Zener points to the future.
Ensuring energy viability in the state of South Dakota lies in the hands of carbon capture and sequestration.
In Sioux Falls, Beth Warden, Dakota News Now.